What's going on, guys? BouseFeenux here, and today we're going to be taking a beginner's look at the Switch X. We'll go over moveset, combos, and we'll also be taking a look at gear stat recommendations. Now, this is a strange weapon that's been around since Monster Hunter Tri, and due to various changes from game to game, it's always been sort of a black horse. And 4U is fairly underwhelming and typically lives in the shadow of the Charge Blade. And in Monster Hunter Generations, it was pretty game-breaking when paired with the aerial style. And in Monster Hunter World, it's received a few buffs, but it's mostly been brought back down to earth as the very same Switch Axe that hunters know and love. Now, the Switch Axe sits in that weird place between Longsword and Greatsword, and it's a pretty versatile weapon in the right hands. As the name would suggest, though, it consists of two different modes. You have the Axe mode with insane reach and decent mobility, but its attacks come out slow, and compared to Sword mode, the damage is pretty subpar. In Sword mode, you trade mobility for faster and more powerful attacks, and you get some pretty explosive finishers. I mean, literally, this thing is like Michael Bay's wet dream. But overall, with a Switch Axe, you get fairly high DPS, versatility, as it's basically two weapons in one, a ton of infinite combos, and fairly good range for a Blade Master weapon. Additionally, with its simple moveset and fairly straightforward mechanics, it's a pretty accessible weapon for newcomers, but like anything else, it does have a learning curve. With the positives aside, the Switch Axe does have its shortcomings. A lot of its attacks will smack hunters around and send them airborne, and when you pair this with the weapon's insanely long range, it is very easy to trip up your partners. This makes the Switch Axe a very disruptive weapon for group play, and on top of this, Sword mode offers the same poor mobility of the Greatsword, but without the ability to block, and the weapon has a long sheath time, meaning you've really got to commit to every engagement. Also, while the weapon does have a lot of mix-up potential with its combos, they're very difficult to get out of or animation cancel, and some of them have fairly long startup times. But lastly, many of your attacks have extremely wide angles, making it difficult to deal precision damage. The swings are so wide and the weapon's range is so long that many times you'll go to hit one monster part and end up smacking another that you're not trying to hit. As far as Switch Axe strategy goes, though, you're going to want to spend most of your time in Sword mode, as this is where the vast majority of your damage comes from. And while less powerful overall, Axe mode isn't totally useless, as you do get a lot more mobility, so you should use this to close distances and go on the offensive. But being able to switch back and forth between the two modes during combos or from neutral is going to be the key to success in your fights, and is definitely a skill you want to master. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Let's take a look at the moveset and show you how to actually use this thing. First up, your triangle combo in Axe mode while standing still is an infinitely repeating combo with 3 unique attacks. It starts with a side slash, goes into a nice rising slash, and then finishes with a powerful overhead slash. If you press forward on the thumbstick in either triangle or circle, you'll start the combo with the forward slash, which is one of your only gap closers. You can throw the forward circle variation of this move in after any triangle attack in Axe mode, and this helps you to reposition and maybe catch a monster that's moving away in the middle of one of your combos. Triangle plus circle in Axe mode gives you the rising slash, and you can use this move from neutral or after a side or downward slash. Be careful when using this attack though, as you can launch your teammates into the air with it. Moving on, pressing circle repeatedly gives you the wild swing. You can continue this attack until you run out of stamina or stop pressing circle, and it's a fantastic jumping off point into Sword mode, as at any time in the combo, you can press R2 to transition, and you'll get this special morph sweep attack that inflicts massive damage. Our last Axe mode attack is the Fade Slash, executed by pressing back in circle. This is similar to the Longsword Fade Slash, but it isn't quite as mobile. You can get to this attack at any point in a triangle combo or after a forward slash. But moving on to Sword mode, you can enter Sword mode at any point from neutral or in the middle of a combo by pressing R2. You can also draw your weapon in Sword mode by pressing R2 when it's sheathed. Your combos in Sword mode are pretty simple though. First, you've got a 3-hit triangle combo, and that in and of itself is infinitely repeatable. Your circle combo is 2 inputs, and it gives you the double slash into the Heavenward Fury. Heavenward Fury has to come after the double slash, so keep that in mind. Aside from that, you can chain these two combos together or throw in the double slash during a triangle combo. Your big finisher is the Elemental Discharge, which is performed by pressing triangle plus circle, and if you spam triangle during this, you'll get the explosive finisher. You can cancel this attack into the finisher early by pressing back and triangle, or you can just stop pressing triangle altogether to end the discharge. Note that completing a discharge attack will automatically morph you back into axe mode. Now, after any move in a sword combo, you can also press R2 to morph back to axe mode, or after an attack, you can press down R2, which gives you a Fade Slash back into axe mode. Now, one mechanic you need to be aware of is the file gauge just under the sharpness bar. As you attack in sword mode, this bar will go down, but you'll power up the file in your switch axe. When the blue bar is completely drained, you'll automatically revert back to axe mode. The sword mode bar recharges automatically while out of sword mode, and if the bar is purple, you can reload it up to 40% by pressing R2 in axe mode. The file powering up is denoted by the outline around the switch axe icon. If it's fully powered up, it'll pulse and glow, and during this time your switch axe will expend its unique effect, and we'll talk about those in a minute when we get to gear. Your element discharge in sword mode also changes. It becomes the zero-sum discharge, and when executed, you'll latch yourself onto a monster as if you're performing your mounting finisher. And to round everything off, lastly, while sliding, you get either the jumping sweep with the axe by pressing triangle, or the jumping rising slash by pressing R2 into the jumping slash by pressing triangle. You can also go into your element discharge after pressing R2 while sliding. But that about covers it for the moveset. Let's go over what to look for when building a switch axe and check out some of the more helpful switch axe armor skills. Making a switch axe is about the same as making any other weapon, but you'll notice there's one thing that stands out, and that is the file type of the switch axe you're making. And if you remember, we talked about this a second ago. When the file bar is charged in combat, this is the type of effect that your fully charged switch axe will expend. There are several different types of files. The power file adds to the raw power of your sword mode. The power element files will add to the elemental damage of your sword mode. Exhaust files drain the stamina of monsters when attacking them, which will eventually render them helpless and exhausted for a few seconds. And lastly, we have status files specific to certain ailments like poison and paralysis. Typically, the best all-rounder switch axes to pick up and use in just about any situation are the power file switch axes, and most hunters will opt for these, but that isn't to say that the other types don't have their uses. Anything is viable if used in the right way, and you shouldn't limit your choices to my general recommendations. Experiment with different builds. It's one of the things that makes this game really fun. As far as armor skills go, besides the typical attack up and affinity boosting skills, focus is going to be a great starting point for any build as it allows your sword gauge to fill faster. Aside from that, Power Prolonger is also a helpful skill, as once your file bar is full, it'll stay powered up for longer. But those are just a few to look out for. There's a ton of awesome skills in this game, and as you play more, you can start to pick and choose which ones fit your playstyle. And that about covers switch axe, guys. This isn't one of my favorite weapons, but there are those out there that completely destroy monsters with this thing, so don't let my opinions dissuade you from trying something new if you haven't picked one of these up already. You should always form your own opinions when it comes to weapons. You don't have to use what's most popular or flashiest. If it's fun and you're comfortable with it, then go for it. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video or just learned something new, don't forget to leave a like down below. And if you're new here, get subscribed so that you never miss a new video. Also, consider joining my Discord if you haven't already by clicking the link in the description below to join up with hunters on all platforms. But until next time, I'm BouseFeenux. I'll see you at the next one. And as always, thank you so much for watching.